control it. We can teach the awareness. All over the world, there's no country that is exempted with all these things that is happening. It's just that for Fiji, it has been there. I believe it was always there. Now more the media highlights is more on the grounds. That's why it's really, brought up to the surface. Just as those gentlemen have, they have their reservations in sending their children back home for holidays. It's just like in New Zealand. They are accessible to grants. I believe in every country, the grants are there. It doesn't make Fiji an exemption. Fiji is, maybe we can say that Fiji is joining the nations or joining the crowd when it comes to the percentage of the drug involvement of our children. And we cover it right down to the basics of it, because it's something new, something that has been there all the time. But now, because the media is, putting highlights on every, and this happens in all the countries.
No, this is
but
drugs
ours,
here. The drugs here is the new drugs that are coming in. Yeah.
But for ours back in Fiji, it's just the awareness that we need to put out. Even way before, drugs was already, in the
new drugs that I'm talking about is the dangerous one, that it never used to be there. The drugs that we normally know is like for the hard drugs, the marijuana, maybe the cocaine, but from time to time. But now it's down on the street, It's shared on the street, which is it was not there about 5 years ago. So the concern is it's very accessible to the people that are very innocent.
Vulnerable people.
Right up to primary school.
And I believe that's where we come in as churches, community leaders, parents, good parenting. And that's like we belong to a church. So as and when I stand up to, we have our leaders training every Monday. The emphasis on parents to find the time to sit with their children during the week, at least once or twice. Which is like a struggle to achieve in work, in urban centers or in work areas, because we're either busy with work or busy with social life, that our children, they are neglected at home. But even though you will say, oh, somebody's with them, or they're good, they have a shelter, they have a roof above their head, their food, in the kitchen, they're good. But what we mean is to have somebody to, like parents, for them to hear. And the awareness needs to, they need to be exposed to their awareness. They need to be told, like, if you take drugs, this is it. Like, if that, if you take that, this is it. I believe some of them, most of these children, they take drugs out of curiosity, or they follow their friends, or they're pressured to do that. But if they know, the repercussion of just taking their drugs, I believe there's an element in them that they will think twice before taking their drugs. Because when you know what will happen to you, obviously, there should be a sense in you to tell you, don't take it. But the thing is, most of them, they take it without even knowing the results, without even knowing what these drugs will do to them. For one, I've got grown-up grandchildren. I've got a 19-year-old, I've got a 18 and a 16. I've got two friends of my 19-year-old grandson that lives with me. They are looking at their age. They are the ages that you would, consider being just hanging out with their friends or taking one or two of these things that is happening. And you cannot stop them. You cannot control them. What they do when they leave my house, I don't know. When they go to school, I don't know. The friends that they keep, I don't know. The influence of people around them, that I will not know. But if I teach them that strong values from home, at least when they go and they're being tempted, or with, they have their friends talking about these things, they have a strong value in their hearts to say to themselves, I've heard this before. My parents told me about this, or my grandparents told me about this. They will start thinking. They will think before they do anything. That's what I assume, or what I think work. Because, I can say that every parents and every grandparents, maybe we all have issues with our children. We have issues. And with our grandchildren, yes. No one is perfect. They are growing up. They are experiencing things. They are creating their own journey. They are writing their own story. So we cannot just automatically tell them, okay, follow this story. This is the way you have to live, and this is the way to go. It doesn't work this time. It works maybe in my time when my father tells me, don't leave the house at 6 o'clock. That works for me. I tried doing it to my children. It didn't work. My eldest daughter rebelled because of the life that I lived and the teaching that I went through with my parents. I tried and do that for my children. It didn't work. It's either they rebel and do right the opposite, or they force themselves to follow what you tell them to do. And now I have my grandchildren. So, I mean, we can talk about drugs in so many ways. For me, drugs always there like smoke, like everything else. I'm not a substance taker. But these things are always there. I think no matter how much we talk about these things, it's not going to go away. It's here to stay.
Yeah, it's
we
awareness.
need to tell them their awareness. And also we need to ground them well with the foundation of their life for them to know, where am I going? You know, the decision that I make will drastically make changes to my future. All those things that they need to know. Because once they know, then when they, you know, even if they start taking it, but there should be something going on in their mind to tell them, okay, a lot of these things, a lot of something is not good. A lot of these things may take me there, may take me to prison because I cannot control myself. When I take drugs, I become a totally different person. So, you know, I will end up stealing, or I will end up having extramarital affairs. I will do these things that a normal-minded person, you know, will not do. But because I'm not normal, I will do that. So they need to know all these things, what you do, or, you know, the repercussion of taking it. Only then you can be aware.
Because it goes back to what you say when we at home, and these are the things that we highlight to them.
Yeah.
So the more we talk to them, especially the effect or the result. And when it's highlighted, most of the fruit of taking the drugs that end up suicide, assault, you know, the bullying, all this thing comes from. So when we sit at home having a quality family time and we share those kind of things, they will start to have in the back of their mind, when they start to see this thing in their friends, they will hold back because they heard it from somebody else.
Yeah, and this is good. I mean, even for me, like what I said, we are grandparents. I, for one, like I spend a lot of time with my grandchildren. And there are times, you know, I know the feeling. There are times when I want to bring it up and, you know, talk about it. And then I felt, you know, they might think, you know, oh, never think that we're taking these things, you know. Because I remember one time I walked past their room. They were busy talking, just doing their normal, Joshua and his friends and so I just stood there and I said, okay, do you have people, like, do you have some children you think or you know they take drugs in school? Indirectly, I was trying to ask the questions if they are exposed to this kind of thing. And it's funny because as soon as you ask the question, they come back to you with an answer, which shows you that they are already being exposed to it. They can see. They know it's there, but sometimes I felt like it's not a proper, you know. I'm speaking because of us. It's okay. So nung abet ko bikin, daradet ko na napakatakil-kilit ko bikin day vale. Iba and the second ngani pinakata mi David tanlotak, like we don't want to bring it up because like you don't want to admit or even think that my child or my grandchild is doing it, because we can say a lot as ministry. I mean, we belong to a ministry. We can say a lot. I can stand up there and say a lot of things to the youth. I can tell them this and that and that and that. But it takes courage for you to sit at home and say the same thing to your own children and to own grandchildren. So before we go and provide that awareness to other children, I think for us, we need to sit at home and create that awareness for our children and our grandchildren. Like what I said, it was a struggle on my part when I posed that question. But when they start coming back to me with the answers and they just went to town with it, you know, like they were open to talk about it and said, no, this and that and that. And then when we go on the line and then I have these friends and this and that. So when they were saying that, and I said, okay, you know why I'm asking this question? Don't get me wrong. It's not that I don't trust you people, but I need to ask that question because you will be exposed to these things and then it's not going to be there all the time with you. and you can come and hide it from them. And that's one thing that I like about my children and my grandchildren. I can be open with them and talk about anything and everything. I do that with my children. I'm doing it with my grandchildren. The openness of discussing these things, which I see is a struggle for us, most Itoke families. Balata keda signora David talno takabando dono and rendre talabi kenda novos wakando dono. Kenda ronile talanoi ke and rendre na nonda tukuna wakando dono naka e wakai nondambula wakai le weekend mato weekenda nambula ya. You want to keep the peace. You don't want to disturb anybody. You want to please everybody. And you just say, okay, it's none of my business. I'll just be quiet. I'll speak when spoken to, or I'll speak when it's my business. Ito weekend, libo na nguna, na attitude ya, eba kaya senga ni buke ba kalebo, na nonda bula ba kamata babale, menda roni kela na kaya vitiko menda vitala no. And that's one thing that I've noticed too for the church. When we started this thing, because this is the church that we belong to is a family-based church. So as much as possible, I will push down harder when it comes to family values. How you look after your house, how you treat your children, your grandchildren, the openness of everything, allow them a space and give them time to, state the differences or whatever the agreements or things that they don't like in the house. There is always a one way for us as parents, and sometimes we don't give them that forum, we don't give them that platform, we don't give them a listening ear for them to just to state, because if they don't have a forum to, to air out what they don't like being in the same house, or the things that they face, or having a space for them to discuss that's, I believe, it's one of the contributing factors in taking these grants and going out drinking, because they look out for other things, so they can vent out the same thing that we didn't have space, to facilitate. And back to the discussion that I had with my grandchildren. So after I, get that feedback, and I just sat there in their room, and I said, okay, I know you are being exposed to all these things, and I know I don't need to ask you people all the time, and I know. You people know that I trust you. I don't come breathing behind your back when you're doing your homework, because I trust you. And most of the things, I trust you. When I ask you, you give me the question, I trust you. And the same thing when it comes to this, as we're having this discussion. You're telling me about all the things that you don't openly come and talk to me about it, because I've never raised a question. Now that I've posed a question to you, and you have all these stories you're telling me. And which means you have been exposed without the awareness. You have been exposed without hearing it from me. So as we're having this discussion, I will not continuously, ask, but I will. And I will need you to understand as and when I will. And if you know you've been exposed to all these things and you are curious that you really want to try it out, just because you're hearing your friends' stories, I will need you to ask me first whether it's safe for you to do that. And that's a question, that's a discussion we had, and that's like about 1.5 years ago. So now they come in and they say stories, and you just be the listening ear, but they know in the house we can openly discuss it, we can openly talk about it.
Normally, especially for those that are older, and if we together and you see some signs, and said, see, that's the effect of this theory, and you know that they will nod their head. And normally, as a discussion with other parents, you need to take them aside, to talk to them, not checking them like a school teacher, but you just share with them the effect. This is what will bring.
I think we should speak more of the effects of these grants. So they know, they continue to listen, continue to hear it, so they know. If they're taking that, that's where they're going.
Because when you share with them the end product, they will, wow. They don't want to go that way, because you share a lot. This is what will happen. It's just like when, if you do well in school, this one, the open doors. The school that you go to, what you want to do, it will be available in this school, because you're talking about a lot on the end product. I believe most of the time in the Fijian community, we just go, breathe on their neck and tell them, don't do this, don't do that.
Yes, sometimes we are always angry. I think parents, most of the times we are always angry. We are always thinking of the worst. When they come in, if we know that their friends are taking it, we automatically assume that our children are, and that anger, that tone, the words that we use on them, and it, just as we thought that it's going to happen for them to hear, but I believe if they are already taking it, those kind of talking down to can really be disturbing, and then they will feel like it creates a totally different person within them.
I believe it's when it comes down to family time, especially for us men, when we sometimes when we sit with them on an individual, or you driving, or you walking, or you watching game, there are signs that you'll see around. That's the problem of this. That's the problem of that. And that's the you are not only teaching them, like you are showing them. Like you are leading them, not in a way that you are coming down on them. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. But as you walk like an adult, you say, when you do well, just like when you try to, like for me, I love my rugby. I love taking my grandchildren, especially the two elder sons, grandsons. And when you speak with them, talk to them, just in a way that they know that your heart, they know you want a result, of being a good rugby player and things to do. The same thing, in the same token, there are signs and there are issues when people are on the road walking aimlessly and you say it in a way that you are sharing the result. And I believe they will take it, they will take it in such a way because they feel for that boy, they feel for that man, like you passing on the passion that you can help, And on the same token, I believe for those of you parents that are watching, sometimes when we try to deal with them in a way that we were dealt with, and sometimes it's coming hard on them, and it's a different environment altogether that they are in. And most of the young people that they turn rebellious, or they are very rude in the way that they carry themselves around. It's totally different from the time that we were, in our teens back then. So it's just a food for thought. Just because it's becoming increasing, and so if increasing in the spreading, then we must increase in the awareness. And to safeguard our young people that they are growing up in the years to come. Because nobody will be exempted from it. They will be going to school. They will be traveling in the bus. They will go and watch the game. They will all have their friends in school. Joshua normally comes and said, some of my friends, they go here, clubbing here, go there. And that's...
it's like the time has changed, and what will happen in 5 years to come, and 10 years to come, if this is the way it is. For me, like I look at my younger grandchildren, what will, happen in the years when they reach their teenage years. No one ever imagined what's happening now. Then, now it's happening. So can we imagine what's going to be happening in the next 5 to 10 years? That is beyond us. And that goes up. As much as we say, like a family table talk, for me, as a stronger believer, I am a Christian. I believe in all these things. There are certain things that we cannot control, certain things that the secular will keep on, opening it up. There is no control. But as a believer, we believe that there is a God and it's going to sustain us. There is a God that is going to convict them. There is a God that will be with your children, with your family, when you're not with them. And this is the time when you rely on that supernatural power, to watch over your family. And not knowing the unknown in the years to come. But with that faith in your God, you believe that they are in good hands. Even in the midst of everything that is happening, they will be good. Because you are trusting a supernatural power, trusting God to look after all these things for you. And back to what we were talking about, because I remember, I think there was 3 weeks ago, for those of you that may remember the same article as well, it was one of the, highlights, a first page. I couldn't say which newspaper it was, but it was printed media. And because when I read it, I have to continue to, like I put it aside, and then after that, and said, pick it up again. I read it. Because I can't believe what I was reading. You can't believe reading all that in Fiji, our beautiful nation. And when I read that article on the grants, the headline was something to do with new grants, on the street, or new grants here in Fiji. And I can't remember the name of it. It's Push Me or Pop Me or something like that. This grant is called. And what really struck me, because I've never seen that, I know that, they talk about grants. I don't really study about grants or even go deeper into it. I don't even know the effects. If I see somebody, like, it has to be really, really, really obvious for me to know that there's grant. I don't even know the smell of the grant. So I need to know all these things before even teaching them, which I'm trying to. And when I read that first page on the newspaper, I've shared it to a few friends of mine. Like, I traveled to US and I was sharing it to one of the ladies out there, and I shared it again in New Zealand. Because when I read that, I couldn't believe that it's there in Fiji. This grant, for those of you who have read the same article or may have been aware of it already, according to the newspaper article that I read, because of the increase of HIV cases, which Fiji now is one of the countries with very high percentage of HIV cases. I believe because of that finding on the HIV cases, zero into this, to this grant. So when they did, I believe once you're known being, STD, if you have STD cases, the sexually transmitted diseases, and whichever level, it can be HIV, it can be AIDS, whatever. But once that comes to light, or you are being, looked after in the hospital or whatever medical care center you go to, I think the reaction would be to check the people, check your partner, because they would like to know how did you get that, when did you get it, because it can only be transmitted through sex or needles, or you're born with it. So, because of the increased percentage of HIV cases in Fiji, a few of those cases, when they investigate, and then they found this grant. And this grant, like what I said, it's called Pop Me or Push Me, I don't know what it is. It starts with a P. And according to the newspaper article, when they discuss as a group, like, you'll have to agree with the people that you're going to be taking it with. And once you agree, it can be 3, 4 people, or it can be 6. So they take this grant, and they can go without food, they can go without water, they can go without sleeping for days. For days. And the only thing they do is having sex. And which, like I could say, when that means whoever says it in the papers, that we can be a walking zombie. When he says that, when you read that in the newspaper article, then you imagine, like for me, a flashback to this article that I've read. Because if you don't eat or you don't sleep, you become a zombie. Because you're walking zombie without even knowing where you're going, what you're doing. Once they found, because they investigate further, most of these people, they don't even know where they got it from. They didn't even know which partner they got it from. And then when they found out a bit about this, because what they do, they either have sex as a group, is orgy, like they do that, or they don't even know who they're having sex with for days. That's what the grant does. And and that become an issue for our medical team, because they cannot investigate further. They cannot remember. They were like with a zombie. They took their grant. They don't eat. They don't sleep, and all they do is have sex. So in the process of it all, they don't even know the partners they're having sex with, and that's very dangerous. And so the drugs, like, it creates all these things. The increases in the HIV, the increase in crime, because you are talking about a generation or a group of people that cannot have control over their lives.
Yeah,
they don't even know what's right and what's wrong.
That's why this issue is a big issue, and we should not take it lightly.
Yeah.
As you said, because if our people are not aware, they can fall into this. But when they are aware, and people will be asking, what is the solution? I saw a few emails coming requesting for church leaders to go to the police again because of the drugs. Just because of the drugs, to talk more with the police, how to help. Now, everybody is looking and searching what is the solution. And the solution, as you said, sometimes we just need God to intervene. And the little thing that we can do is the awareness. And teach it in such a way that can become effective. It can be effective and not only from the government, not only the police and the
church,
but the Vanua and the church must come in.
We must work together.
We must all work together, and to say the dangerous future that we are facing because of this. Because if we don't highlight it, then this thing will move like a cancer. By the time we realize, maybe half of our young people are on the street. And now with the age problem, and age is not something like a cough or other sickness. You get it today, you feel it tomorrow or 2 days later. And that's the danger of HIV. You can get it and go into age, or just a carrier moving from people to people. So that's why to me the drugs is something that is stopping or become a barrier to a generation that they walk with a sense of responsibility. They are aware of the future. They have plan. They have purpose of their life. But if not, these drugs, you just want to get the drugs that you want today, next week, tomorrow. So the generation to come will be a big challenge.
That was for you that are actually tuning in. We are talking as much as possible on the parenting, on the awareness from the community or people in position to be able to give us that, exposure to the results, or to, what happens to your life when you are takers of all these things. But for those of you that are already taking it, maybe you listen to us today and you say, okay, there they go. Or those of you who haven't, it makes you more curious. So whatever it is, or whatever level that you may be in, try and find out, what will happen to your life. If there is a way that you want to live your life and live like a zombie, or like I think years back, I see, because the church that we're in, we look after mission. And I can single out the ones who come in, and I know they are at the, that level of their life.
They're
exposed to it, or they're taking grants. So it's a risk also for the church. But where else could they go? And also we have this youth program that we usually have every year. We call it the Youth Symposium. We have feedback from the billeting place of our security officers or people that are looking after the event. Yeah, it is a church event, but you cannot stop, because you cannot stop the children that comes in. If we are taking the risk, we are inviting anyone and everyone who is willing to come and be part of the youth program. And maybe out of thousands of people that come in, to the most about 2,000 plus of youth that come in, you may have 10% of that already taking grants, or 15, or even bigger than that, 20% already taking grants. And it doesn't mean that they in church they don't take grants, no. Every human, or every child, or every youth, or every couple, or every adult person, you don't automatically become a good person when you go to church. No, you go to church to try and hear the values, moral values being taught, things that are being, preached in church. They can help you be a better person. or some of us, we don't have that forum with our parents back at home, or we don't have that forum in any way because you don't have a family to go to. So the church becomes your family. The church becomes that arm that becomes the mom and dad that talks about things that you don't usually hear at home. That's how I look. That's how I look to the church for, and that's how I treat the church that I'm in. Because we actually look after this ministry or the church. I'm always, like, when it comes to the youth, I'm always looking at this group of young people as they come. I know they come from families, but I'm looking at them and teaching them or sharing with them things that I know will not be openly discussed at all. I'll talk to them about sex. I'll talk to them about substance. I'll talk to them about taking drugs, smoking, liquor, all these things that we don't usually openly talk about it at home. I grab that opportunity when they come to church or when there is a youth forum for me to address that, because I look at these children. It's like I'm looking at my grandchildren, and my grandchildren are just so fortunate because they hear me talk about it, or they hear me in the devotion that I always try not to miss. Nearly every evening we sit down to have that devotion. So they have a forum that they can listen to. But what about these children that are coming to church? I'm not really definite. The family that they have the time to talk to them about these things, or even open to talk to them about sex. Because most of the lives that we live, maybe not only in Fiji, or for us Fiji people, even when we move abroad to whatever country that we go in, we still take those values with us. Because we come from a nation, we love our country. Kaya ko tutungan non de tova non de walwala na bunungan dalak mikin say buru da bada tukina kaya ko tutukan kikina non de tova but kaya non de walwala non da banua and dalak mikin and the second ni raw ni vitan lo takava and open say vitan lo takava kada dono na vika avete ko bira na lumenda say avete ko bira na makumbuda viau. So Aureda, we are more, we are reacting to everything that is happening. We are reacting when they take drug and screaming our head off and giving them a good hiding or chasing them out of the house. We are reacting when they come home being pregnant and we tell them, go look for another house, go and stay in. And we are reacting. We are always reacting. We are reacting when the police is knocking on our door, telling us, they found our child. Either they are, stealing in the shops or being involved in a street brawl. We are always reacting to problems being brought home or to problems being highlighted in the school when we go in for parents' interview. But we are not being proactive. The proaction or the proactive, I believe we need to emphasize more on being proactive than just waiting to react to what is being brought home. So the proactive would be the proactive measures that we can take is push. Other than just telling our children about the effects of the drug, maybe through the same forum of teaching the awareness about the dangers of taking these drugs, maybe we should